And welcome back, everyone. We are back with another SDL Podcast, Season 2. I'm back here with my co-host, Matt. Edie behind the scenes, running everything again. We're going to do a quick recap of last week's games and then jump into the preview for this week's games. Matt, over to you.
So, game one last week, our tightest game of the week was black and white. Black 64, white 57. This was, I think, the biggest surprise to all of us heading into the week from a line perspective. White was favored, but black came away with the win. Jose back to his winning ways. The one highlight, or low light if you would, I want to highlight here is we did have one Lou candidate, and that was Berg was 1 for 8 from the floor, which is 13% shooting. So that's going to be our Lou candidate for the black versus white game. Game two.
Game 2, we had the Purple Patio Pounders versus the Gray Beard Goats. It finished in a 94-78 total, with the Purple Patio Pounders continuing to roll on their dominance this season. We had Gray had a sub this week because they were missing the Warden and the Enforcer Vic. Purple was missing Reich. Two Player of the Week candidates we had in this game. We had Vasquez, who went crazy again with 44 points, and Jared Shore had 22, 12, and 14. Great game from both of them. Obviously, Vasquez continues to roll. Purple continues their dominant ways.
Jared Shore on 56% shooting, by the way. That guy doesn't shoot 57% from the free throw line, let alone from the floor. So good for him.
Right. Yep,
And Edie still can't show his face because of the Gray loss there. That's tough. Tough look.
Yeah, tough loss this week. But rolling into game 3.
Yeah, game 3 was I was sad this game wasn't closer. I thought this was going to be the game of the week. Obviously, Purple Gray on paper was the game of the week, but with the Gray with a sub, it just wasn't a full Gray squad. So I was hoping this game would be a closer one. Blue 79, Green 60. If you remember, this was a really tight line. Blue was only favored by a couple points, but don't look now. Blue is starting to heat up. They came out with a Player of the Week candidate this week, Jason Rosenberg. More on him later. 32, 9, and 5. And there was also a Lou candidate from that game, Joey, one of your teammates, Rob Rusman, 3 of 16 from the field, 19%. Quick update: 13 of those 16 shots were three-pointers, so that's another 13 versus 3 on the 2-point side for Rob. And that's game 3 from last week. Blue 79, Green 60.
That's right. In the fourth game of last week, we had the Yellow Light Hustlers going up against Matt's Orange Crush. Orange was a perfect line set by Reich here. We had a 10.5 point spread, and it was a 10-point game.
Crazy.
Yellow came out on top, 61-51. We had a Lou candidate as well in this game. Vlad was 2 for 20. That's 10% from the field, 0 for 14 from 3. Not a good night shooting for him. Lewis, the last week's Lou winner, had 24, 10, and 2 on 28% shooting. Good game for Yellow out there. Orange still can't get out of the rudder out there. So we'll see if they can turn it around next week. But how about the next game?
Yeah, that's tough. And before we move on to the next game, I will say that's 2 weeks in a row, the first 2 weeks of the Lou, where the Lou winner the following week comes out with a over 20-point game. I think Scotty Snyder had 24. Now, Lewis didn't have a great shooting percentage, 28%, but for him, not bad. And overall, over 20 points for back-to-back Lou Award winners. So really curious to see what Week 5 brings. But to wrap the night, it was the Maroon versus Red game. Upset of the week. Reverse line coverage here. I believe it was 14.5. Red minus 14.5. Maroon did the backdoor reverse cover. It was Maroon 66, Red 48. Player of the Week candidate, Waka Saka Flame, 31, 18, and 2 on 45% shooting. And our final Lou candidate of the week was Mikey Rosenthal. Shocker here. Rosenthal, I think, might have been on some kind of minimum shots last year, was the number 1 field goal percentage guy in the league, was 1 for 13, 8%, 0 for 4 from deep. Really, really tough night for Rosenthal. Very uncharacteristic night for Rosenthal. But that's our Week 5 recap. A couple things to hit on. So we have our moment of the week that we always pick. And for me, again, the closest game of the night, I believe, was a 7 point game. Was that week one? The next closest was 10. Everything else was in double digits. My moment's not really a moment. My moment is a return of a man that we all hold in really high regard, and that's not so Jewish Jason Rosenberg. We've been calling him out on this pod all week, or all season, excuse me, Joey. 10, 11 point games, very uncharacteristic like games for Rosenberg. And, he just came out and, dropped a monster game. 32, like I said, where is it? 32, 9, and 5, absolutely dominated in what was going to be a really, really tight, or supposed to be a really tight game between blue and green. So my moment of the week, I'm sure we've got a highlight reel from Sports Visio rolling. My moment of the week, excuse me, is the return of Not So Jewish Jordan back to his winning ways. I mean, he was last week outside of the pie threshold for All-Star
Yep.
voting. I mean, if we'd opened up the voting last week, Rosenberg would have gotten 0 votes because he wasn't even eligible, and that one monster game thrust him right back into it. And I'm sure he's going to be getting a ton of votes as he deserves for his season, based on last week alone. So really good. Joey, what was your moment of the week?
My moment of the week had to be the Maroon team as well. It's not a single moment. It's their team coming together, finally gelling. Last week, they lost on a buzzer beater, but you could tell that they're playing a lot better. Waka Saka Flame getting buckets, Scotty Pepper doing his thing, Sean and Berman out there playing really good supporting roles. Um, they just look like they're headed in the right direction at the right time as the playoffs are starting to gear up a little bit and look towards that way over the next month. My moment of the week is Maroon team finally coming together because they were over for a little while there and getting a few string of good games together and see if they can continue to roll into the playoff season here.
Yeah, some are saying that Lebo might have played a factor into Maroon pulling it together, but we'll see. Edie, do you have a
Yep.
moment of the week by chance, sitting in the background?
I do have a moment of the week. It is the Gray versus Purple Patio Pounders. Growing up, I was a big Harlem Globe Trotter fan. I went to games. I never thought I would get to play in one. And there was a moment in that game that I did get to play against the Harlem Globe Trotters. It was as embarrassing as I would have expected it to feel as the other side. And it is the fire that is lighting the storm for the Goats the remainder of the season. So watch out.
Yeah, roll that clip.
Moment of the week.
Roll that clip. This is classic Globetrotters versus Washington. What are they? The Washington Generals, right? That's who they get to play on a weekly basis or
Mhm.
whatever they do.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the moment of the week. Uh, I'm going to take player of the week this week. I think it's got to be Vasquez. Again, monster numbers. 50% shooting from the field, 44 points. The guy is on a tear. I think this might be the first back-to-back 40-point performances we've seen in the SDL. I know Dennis has a couple 40-pointers. I don't think they were ever back-to-back. I think Rosenberg might have touched 40 once, not twice. We'll fact-check that, but monster game, which leads to a preview of this weekend, which is going to be the shootout to end all shootouts. Jason Eady versus David Vasquez. Maybe if we have time at the end of the pod, we'll get a comment from Jason on that one. But that's got to be player of the week. Vasquez back-to-back weeks. Congratulations to him. Monster game. Super well deserved. And Joey, I think everyone's sitting on the edge of their seat for everyone's favorite award. Who do you have for the Lou this week? We highlighted a couple candidates. Lay it on us.
We got a few this week. This week's Lou Award winner, just to run through the candidates again, we had Berg on White, 1 for 8. We had Mikey Rosenthal, 1 for 13. We had Vlad with 2 for
20.
20. Yeah, 2 for 20, excuse me. And the last person we had here is Rob Rusman on the green team as well. But we're going to go with, sorry to do it, but it's got to be Vlad. 2 for 20 from the field. He was, 0 for 14 from 3. So he missed more threes than some people took this week. So, Vlad, sorry to do it to you, but you are the winner of the Lou this week.
One quick reminder for everybody. Now, Vlad's going to be out this week. We'll get into that more. But next time Vlad shows up, he's going to have to wear the Lou Award for the warm-ups. If he hits that first shot, which, again, can't be a layup or anything like that. If he hits that first shot, he can take it off. If not, he's got to don the award for the rest of warm-ups from the moment he gets to the game until the game starts. So shout out, Vlad. At least Orange is winning some awards this year.
Yep. getting them off the pine right there. Yep.
Absolutely. So jumping right into week 6. So this is what we've been trying to schedule and coordinate this entire time. It's going to be a modified version of Guess the Lines. Edie's got the lines. We have no idea what the lines are. I tried to highlight for everybody, because of the timing of when the lines were developed, there's been some changes in the player ins and outs. So, Joey, we're going to have to guess based on the time of when these were cut. We'll obviously explain who's in, who's out in the moment, and who's in, who's out for the line, so we can get creative here.
Right.
Joey, we're going to alternate who goes first on the guess. So, Joey, you're going to go first. Why don't you do a quick presentation of the game, who's in, who's out versus line versus not who's there, and then we'll go from that point on. And, by the way, no Price is Right rules, everybody. This is whoever is closest wins.
Yep. First game of the night this week, we got a Blue Collar Ballers versus the Orange Crush. Matt's Orange Crush coming in first. Vlad is out for Orange, it looks like, and Gary and Dan White also missing this game. So it's going to be a makeshift game for both teams, pretty much. Looks like a sub's going to be coming. We don't know who the sub is yet, I
We
believe.
do. It's Mustang.
Oh,
Mustang is
Mustang
in.
Ford.
I was
Okay, so I
in
didn't know that.
Ford.
So okay,
Yeah, but
that
just so you
factors
know,
in.
only Gary and Dan were factored into the line, I believe. Edie, correct me if I'm wrong on that. But guess as if Vlad were there, no Mustang, 4-on-4.
Right, so it's going to be a good game. Orange, obviously, you guys are still hungry. I always lean towards a team that's back against the corner. They need a dub. But Blue is rolling. They got a few wins in a row, 3, I believe. Blue's got to be favored. And even with Gary out, I believe that makes it a little bit closer. I'm going to go with Blue minus 5.5.
Wow. I think you're way low. I think you're way
Okay.
low on that. I think if Yellow, no offense to Yellow, they're a very good team. In fact, with DeMar, I think Yellow would have been a real problem in this league. But Yellow, without a true A DeMar type player, was a 10.5 point favorite. I think Blue
Yep.
is a slightly better team than Yellow, so that makes me think it's probably 12. Or 11.5 to 12. But Gary being out, I think we get some credit for that. I'm going to say it's Orange plus 9.5. Edie, how did we do?
Okay. Fresh off hard right bets, he has, and I quote, Blue minus 7.5 versus Orange. Minus 7.5.
So we
So
we split that. We
We
split that.
split,
we
We were
yeah.
both
tied.
off two.
Tie that one. Okay, that's a push.
Yeah,
Good
I
thing
like
you
that
clarified no Price is Right rules.
Uh,
for sure. Love that. Love that. Okay, so game
Blue
two.
minus 7.5. I feel like that's actually pretty fair given who's
Fair.
in and out.
Mhm.
Um, that being
Better.
said, Orange hasn't kept a game within 30 since
It's
like the first week, maybe.
We lost by
So we'll
10
see.
last week. Thank you. We lost by 10 last week. Nailed that line.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. So Edie, I'm gonna excuse myself from answering this question. Vlad out, uh, Mustang in. Set a new line. It was Blue minus 7.5. What do you think the right answer is? Vlad out, Mustang in, and still no Gary.
I'm
Still no Gary.
I'm gonna keep it right at minus 7.5.
Yep, feels
Honestly,
right. Feels right. Joey, any differing opinion?
I was right there,
Yep,
right about the
I
same
agree.
line. Yeah.
I agree. Feels right. Game two.
Yeah.
I would say I would like to call this the player of the game, the game of the week, excuse me, Purple versus Green. But Jared, we saw the foot pick, one gross, two, not really sure how much he's going to play. Uh, Armando's out. Rob is in. However, the opposite was factored into the line. You don't want to be in the captain's chat. It was a disaster, so don't worry about how we got there. But Armando is out. Rob is in. However, that was the exact opposite factored into the line. I believe when the line was made, Purple had all 5 though. So that is my anticipation. Is that correct, Edie? To your knowledge?
I believe Purple is going to have 4 with Jared arriving late, potentially.
Right,
May play, may not, depending
but
on
what
ankle.
but what was factored into the line? Just to be, I think it was Purple
Oh, the
had 5.
line.
Yeah, I believe
I
Purple had
believe
all
Purple is
5. Okay,
5.
I went
Okay.
back just so you know. I went back to the chat. I tried to double check and factor in, factor that in. So
Right.
Purple versus Green. We talked about Green and Blue. They lost by effectively 20 points last week. I think everybody was high on Green until that dismantling by the blue team last week. Obviously, Purple's incredible. Vasquez is absolutely on a tear. I think this line has to be Purple minus 9.5. That's what I'm going with. Not quite double digits
Yep.
for Purple versus Green. I think there's just still going to be some respect there for Green.
I agree. Yeah, it's going to be a tough game this week. A few injuries on the green team. Obviously, Armando's out this week. I believe he's sitting this one out. But yeah, Purple's rolling. They got to be the favorite. I don't think it's double digits as well. Just like you said, no double digits there. I'm going to say Purple minus 8.5.
Ooh,
Coming
undercutting
into
me.
this one. 8.5. Yeah, I'm going to undercut by a point there. See if I can nail it. But that feels about right for now. Green's still trying to figure it out. Purple's rolling. Let's see how we can fare this week.
Okay, here we go. This one, a little bit of controversy on this. So I'm going to let you guys vote on which line we use. Okay. Eric, being on the purple team, has been accused of setting low lines for his team, so they smash their line every week.
No.
That accusation was levied again this week. He has purple minus 6.5 versus green. Now, I immediately said, that's low. You guys haven't won a game by less than 14 like all season.
Mm-hmm.
What makes green so great in terms of the lowest line? And he said there's turmoil, not sustainable for a full season of domination. He laughed a lot. And then he said, move ours to minus 9.5. So are we going to go with the 6.5 original or me pressing him at the 9.5? I will leave that up to you two on how we do it. I was playful banner, wasn't expecting him to change his line, but then he changed it. So what do we think?
Joey, I have a proposal for you.
Okay.
You win under one circumstance, I win under another circumstance. I say for the purposes of the league, we run with the 9.5, but we split.
Yep.
But we split 1-1 again and call it a tie on the guessing the lines portion. How's that sound? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, the 9.5 sounds more realistic than the first line, anyways. That seems a little low, obviously, for what's happening in the league right now. But yeah, I agree. Sounds good.
Okay, that works. Okay, so
Yep.
we're tied 2 each technically for if we're counting
Yep.
ties as one.
1-1.
Yep.
Yep. Going into the next game, we got
Yeah.
the White Sneaker Warriors coming up against the Maroon Muscle here. White has Berg out. Looks like Maroon's going to be full. Maroon is hot right now. They're rolling. You got White, who is sneaky good, usually in a dogfight, low scoring game here. This is a tough one for the books, honestly. Like this one's going to be a tight one, depending on how Hard Reich Bets over there is feeling. I gotta think Maroon. This is just my personal opinion. I could be way off here, but I think Maroon's got to be favored in this game. It's not going to be by much, but I think they got to be favored just by the way that they've been playing on a week-to-week basis lately. I think it's going to be Maroon minus 3.5.
That's a big number. Interesting. So I think Maroon should be favored, but I think they should be favored by a smaller number.
Mm-hmm.
However, I will say I think the white team, Big J, I think he carries some respect around the league, especially at the books. I'm going to go with basically a pick 'em, but I'm going to say white minus a half a point.
Okay. Your analysis is not in agreement with Hard Rock Bets. He thinks that there is a fairly heavy favorite in this game. It is Maroon at minus 4.5. So Joey
Close.
wins this one.
Take it.
Okay, I agree. I have to say I agree with the line. I tried to outsmart the line maker there. Overthought that one. I do. I like I said at the beginning. I do think Maroon is and should be favored. So okay, good job for Reich keeping keeping it honest. Obviously, with the exception of his own game.
Right.
Some are saying.
Uh,
Right.
Game 4. So I'm down one. Okay, Game 4. Red versus Gray. Now I'm almost certain of this. Red is full squad. Gray, when this line was done, I believe was full. I went back and checked. It was a Vix kind of a maybes, a hurt ankle, but I think he's full. So I think this was played into full. I will say, since then, it seems like and Edie, you're from Gray, obviously. You guys have 3, and you're getting a sub. Is that correct? David Guinan's out, and Vic are out.
Dave is out. Vic, I believe, is going to play now. So we
Okay,
will
good.
have 4 no sub.
Okay,
Um,
but for
hopefully
the
his
line,
ankle holds up.
it's 5-5.
The line was all 5 of us,
Okay.
yes.
All right. So line 5-5. I have to go first on this one. Maroon just kicked the snot out of Red. They're coming off a down game. I think Gray has to be favored here. Although Gray did get beat pretty badly by Purple as well. No, I still think Gray's gonna be favored. I'm gonna go Gray -2.5. Joey, what do you got?
So I think this is, I mean, looking at the slate here, we have some good games this week. But this, to me, is probably the game of the week. Um, how does Red respond after getting the doors blown off last week, as well as a Gray team that is one of the top tier teams as well? Um, with okay, so the line was made without the subs. So I got to think, like you said, it's going to be a close. I got to think it would be Gray -1.5. That's just it's got to be right around that number for full teams. Obviously, with the subs in and out, that sways things a bit. But before that was set in stone, yeah, 1.5. Gray Goats favorite.
Okay. Well, you guys are very wrong on this one.
Oh, Red's
You are
favorite.
3 points off.
Oof.
3 points off on this one. He has it Red -1.5 versus Gray. Gray Beard Goats, underdog status.
That's
We love to see
crazy.
it.
That's crazy talk. Oh, Joe, you took that one too, so you're going to take the week. But on the overall standings, I think I'm up. You had a pretty poor showing last week, so I feel pretty good going into All Star Weekend.
Yeah. Last week there were some crazy lines out there. I'm still recovering,
Yeah.
But there
So
were some crazy
wait,
ones last week.
before
But
we move on, Edie, underdogs. What do you think about that line? Take the disrespect out of it. Genuinely, what do you think about the line?
Um, Honestly, I would have put the game right at a pick 'em. So I don't really feel any disrespect from it. Knowing Dave's not going to be there, I think where he ended at 1.5 for Red makes sense.
That's
But
fair.
he obviously didn't know that was going to be the case. So no, I mean it's a pick 'em. I mean, Gray we've seen can be dominant and not dominant. It all depends on if our shots are falling or not. If they are, watch out. If they're not, watch out for us. So it's we'll see if the shots fall. I mean, that's what it's going to come down to.
100%. It's a make or miss league lately. SDL, raining threes. But for the last game of the week, we got the Blacktop Legends versus the Yellow Light Hustlers. Both teams have full squads, except Bregman. He's a maybe that was factored into the line. For me, Black coming off a dominant type performance last week, coming back into form. I believe they got to be favored over Yellow getting a good win last week. I believe with Jose and Lon and Goodman and Sasson running around. They have a solid squad. It's got to be Black, and I'm going to say -5.5 this week.
Oh, I have to change now because I was going to pick the same thing. I'm going to go with that's low, and I'm just going to edge you out and say 6.5. I think 5.5 feels like the right answer. Some people are probably shaking their heads. Black doesn't blow a lot of teams out. They just don't. They run a
Right.
slow, controlled offense. It's not a big number. They're never going to be favored by double digits basically versus anybody. Not that they're not talented enough to do it. It's just not their style. So I'm going to edge you out, but I think 5.5 might be the right answer. I'm going to say 6.5.
Okay. I will say, from a competition standpoint, I think moving forward, you should stick with your original answer and not have it influenced by the other person to change one way or the other, just for transparency's sake.
Fair enough.
But
I at least
in this
admitted
regard,
it.
you did admit it. In this regard, you take the L for changing it because it is Black -3.5 versus Yellow, which means Joey wins again. Joey with 0 losses this week. 3-0-2. Impressive showing. Nahoda showed up just like his Orange Crush playmakers show up on Tuesday nights.
How about it?
Big fat
Yep.
0.
So what does that bring the season standing to? I went 4-1,
Oh,
four and
goodness.
one, Or right, Joe? Well, you went 1-4 technically. So yeah, so I was up 8-2, and now it is you got three. You got three there, right? It
Right.
was
Eight,
8-2.
8-3-2. 8-3-2 now. No, 8-5-2. Sorry.
There, I was gonna say it's not enough games.
Yeah.
Yeah, 8-5-2 in favor of the good guys. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
interesting. All
Yep.
right, so
Going
so
back and
quick
forth. Yep.
quick betting recap. Edie, rip through the lines for us each game, and Joey, tell us who's your money line bet and who is your weekly bet with the points factored in.
Yes. Blue versus orange. We have blue -7.5. Purple versus green. Purple -9.5. Opened at -6.5. Agreed. Changed to 9.5. Maroon versus white -4.5. Maroon. Red is favored over gray by 1.5. And black is favored over yellow by 3.5. When you guys are determining your money line bet, I think it is important to include the fact that Lewis has never beaten Jose in anything in life. That's a pretty solid money line bet if I were to take one.
Fair enough. All right, I'll
Yep.
rip through.
Fair enough.
I'll rip through my picks. I think blue without Gary. Even though we do have a sub, we thought 7.5 was good. I'm gonna take orange in the points, but give me blue money line. For green versus purple, I mean, I just got to double down on purple. They're like, before this season, they're like the Chiefs. Just keep betting them, keep betting the money, keep betting the points. Doesn't really matter. White versus maroon. I'm going maroon's coming back down to earth. Give me white points in a really close game. Give me white in the points. I'm going to take white money line. Red versus gray. From a points perspective, that's a stay away. Anything in basketball less than 3 points is really tough to bet. However, I will take the plus money on the money line and just take gray because it's going to be so close. And black versus yellow, I'm doubling down on black. Give me points, money line, adjusted points, whatever you guys got. I'll take black.
Yep. All right. Let me run through mine. I'm going to go game one, blue versus orange, like Matt said. I'm going to roll with blue is feeling good right now. I'm going to take them money line and spread this week, only because there is a sub that didn't factor into the line. I'm going to take the sub. Purple versus green, like you said, it's hard to bet against my own team because I'm biased over here. But purple is absolutely rolling. We have a guy out this week as well. Jared's a little banged up, but still, I'm going to take purple money line. Purple. No, I can't do it. I gotta take green spread. I gotta take the spread for green. I gotta take the spread for green. I can't do it. I can't do it. White versus maroon. White maroon. That's a tougher one. That's the toughest one of the week for me
I
because
think
both
so.
have dogs
Yeah.
on each side. That's just a tough one to pick. I'm gonna go uh, with no sub on white. I'm gonna go with maroon. I'm gonna take them point. I'm gonna take white on the points. I'm gonna take maroon money line, and then red versus gray. With the new a few people out in that one. I'm going to go with red money line and points on that one, the 1.5. And then I'm rolling with black as well, money line and points for the Legends. They're just still a top tier team after winning the chip last season.
Totally fair. If Bregman is out, do you switch to yellow, getting 3.5, or do you still like black?
I still like black. They're kind of versatile over there. They switch in pretty well. Obviously, if it's Jose's missing, they tend to lose a few games. But with him and Lon being the 1-2, Bregman obviously that would change the line a bit. But I'm still going with. I'm still going to take the points and money line black.
Completely fair. Completely fair.
Mhm.
And now on to the final segment of the podcast, the release of the AP poll top 11.
Mhm.
Meow. Meow. Joey, what did you think of that AP poll? A couple moves, couple shakes, a bit different than the last few weeks. Obviously, Purple still unanimous number one. What are your thoughts
Yep.
overall?
So, yep, we got Purple still in the unanimous number one. Gray taking a tumble for a few spots after a loss last week. That's probably the most surprising for me. Red still halfway up the board after getting clubbed last week as well. Green took a tumble. Maroon climbing their way up without Lebo, technically, from the poll this week. That team moving halfway up. Fortunately, Orange still down there at the bottom. But it seems like Blue and Black and Purple are all rolling at the right time. Those guys are moving up in the poll or staying atop, akin to Purple, and those guys are leading the league right now in efficiency and winning.
Edie,
So,
what are your thoughts on the split of Maroon this week, a with and without Lebo? Seems they played their best game without him. How do you think those numbers shake out? Do you think they're fair rankings? What are your thoughts?
I think there's a couple interesting things. In a 10-team league, for Orange to be ranked 11th, I think is actually pretty fitting. Um, they got to pull it together. In the Maroon without Lebo, I honestly think they're undervalued at 6. I think they're playing even better than that. I think I had them at number 2 in my poll. So surprised that they're all the way down at 6. Maroon with Lebo at 10, I have no disagreement with. There is the Lebo Elam curse that most definitely exists. And I actually had an interesting thought. Lebo will not play in Elam because of this curse. His team will not allow that to happen. If someone's missing on the team and they only rock with 4 and you get to Elam, do they play with only 3 players during Elam and have Lebo sit out, or do you risk the curse?
Or
It'll be very interesting to see if that happens.
or do they put him in the Geico penalty pen?
Oh, they could do that.
They could
yep.
banish him to the pen, and that way he's not playing, but still on the team. So,
Yep.
some thoughts there. Some thoughts there. But that wraps up another week. Joey, take us out.
Yep. Thank you guys for tuning in again. For Edie and Matt, this was Joey again, the SDL podcast. We'll catch you on Tuesday nights live, TikTok, Instagram. But once again, we will catch you Tuesday night, 6 p.m. live. See ya.
See ya.